In today's video, I want to show you a prompt that I believe is the perfect image generation prompt. And I'll discuss how to organize it, what to include and what to not include, and other important things to consider when creating prompts for AI image generators. Welcome to another video of Prompt in Focus, a weekly series where I show you interesting ideas, interesting results and design tools based on a single AI prompt. And my name is Ruben and I hope you enjoyed today's video. So why is it important to learn the fundamentals of prompting, especially when you can already get decent looking images from simple prompts written in natural language? And the answer is simple. When you structure your prompt, you take control over the output. And you can generate what you actually intend to generate, and you gain the ability to create consistent looking images. Because it is important not to include too much in your prompt, as AI models tend to leave things out when prompts become too long and too cluttered, I use a clear structure. And here's the structure that I use to write image generation prompts. I start my prompts with the subject. What is the image about and what is the first thing that you want people to notice when they look at your image? And next comes the composition. How is the image laid out and how is the subject positioned? Is the subject close to the camera? Is it far away? Or is it above or below the camera, for example? Then I describe the textures of the elements in the scene, and you can think about textures like hair, skin and product materials. So for example, a textile hardcover book on a marble background gives a very different look and feel than a softcover book on a rustic wooden tabletop. Probably one of the most important things to include is the lighting style. And this determines the overall look and feel of the scene. Is it warm? Is it cold? Is it shot in a professional studio setting? Or does it use natural lighting coming from a specific source, like a window for example? And if you see my other videos, you probably know that I love playing with shadows as well. They give your images more uniqueness. Camera and lens specifics can play a major role in image creation too. They allow you to determine where the focus is, so you can control which parts are in focus, which parts are out of focus, and how strong that effect actually is. And the scenery gives you control over the environment. Is the subject in a studio setting or is it in a busy street, for example? The photography style is important to mention because different image types have different characteristics. In today's video I'm focusing on product photography, but some other common photography styles are portrait photography, landscape photography, 3D objects or watercolor paintings, for example. I usually end by defining the aspect ratio, and the ratio can give you a lot of control over the final outcome. You can use it to generate images for specific purposes, like square images for Etsy or a 4:5 image ratio for Instagram, for example. But you can also use it to complement the subject. So an image of a vertical 6:9 book, for example, will look better in a vertical format than in a horizontal one. In some cases, I also add constraints to the prompts. For example, when I ask the AI model to generate a minimalistic mockup, it often includes additional decorations to the scenes, and in that case, I tell it explicitly to not include any props. And the hierarchy of the prompt is important as well, because AI models tend to prioritize the first parts of the prompt, and especially Midjourney is known for this behavior. I don't always include every single aspect of this prompt structure, as in some cases a simpler prompt will do fine too, but I do always use this to make sure that I have everything included that I want. Here's an example of a prompt that includes all the aspects of a well-structured image. And I start the prompt by describing the subject, which is a brunette female model wearing a gold earring. And then I describe the composition, a tight close-up of her ear and earring. And I emphasize that the earring should be the center of attention by placing it in the center of the frame and keeping the camera at eye level. And I mentioned the smooth and reflective surface of the earring and the textures of the model's skin and her hair. And this can make a massive difference in realism, as many AI models tend to generate plastic-looking skin textures. For the lighting, I specify soft, diffused light and clearly describe the light direction. I then describe a specific lens with a shallow depth of field, which means that the background is blurred, and this adds a softness and gives the image a professional look, while also allowing me to control which areas are in focus. Next, I mentioned that the photo is shot in a clean studio environment with a warm toned background. And I also describe the photography style as photorealistic, luxurious jewelry photography. And finally, I specify the square 1:1 aspect ratio and state that I don't want any logos, additional jewelry or props in the image. And you can see in the final image that it follows all of these instructions perfectly, and this way of prompting really allows you to take control over the output. Did you know that you can insert hex color codes in your prompts, and instead of saying replace the background color with a light gray color, you can replace the background color with a hex color code of a specific gray that you want. Or as I did in this example, where I adjusted the orange scarf to a specific blue color by using a hex color code. Using hex color codes allows you to implement your colors with more precision, which is ideal for keeping a consistent look for your brand. And you can find hex color codes by simply googling color picker and use Google's own color picker. Now that you know what to include and how to structure a strong prompt, it is also important to understand what not to include and what you should avoid. And here's an example of a prompt that does almost everything wrong. Although the result might look good at first glance, the problem is that you leave a lot of it up to chance with a prompt like this. So directions can become too vague very quickly. For example, beautiful woman and nice gold earrings are very subjective, and dramatic shadows everywhere is unclear. And it is also important to take note of any missing information in your prompt, such as the composition or the camera choices, for example. And thirdly, avoid conflicting instructions, so like asking something that looks both photorealistic and illustrated at the same time, or both a studio setting and an outdoor setting, for example. So this may not be a perfectly realistic prompt, but it clearly demonstrates what you should try to avoid. One of the most common questions I see online about AI image generation is, how many words should I include in my prompt? And the answer to that is that there is no single perfect number of words or characters. And some tools do have character limits, but in practice, image generators don't suddenly stop working when a prompt becomes too long. Instead, they gradually become less effective and start forgetting details. And that's why longer prompts don't automatically produce better results. So rather than focusing on word count, focus on clarity and on structure. And use a clear framework like the one I discussed in this video. A shorter, well-structured prompt will almost always outperform a long, unfocused one. I've added a link in the description to a free download that outlines everything discussed in this video, so you can refer to it next time you write an image prompt. I hope you found this video helpful and enjoyed it, and if you did, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.